In Spanish, there is a word for illegal activities like contraband and bribery, in which the government or part of it is involved. This word is estraperlo. Now, to the untrained ear, this word might sound perfectly Spanish, and even to Spanish ears, it might sound like a natural Spanish word which evolved from Latin and has been around for ages. The truth is, however, that this word did not even exist 100 years ago, and it derives from the names of two cunning Dutch businessmen who circumvented European gambling laws by introducing a variety of the roulette game, which spiraled out of control and resulted in the Spanish Civil War. This is the story of Estraperlo. In a Dutch coastal town near The Hague. On its boulevard near the beach stands a prestigious hotel which is named the Cool House. Back in the 1800s, a new health trend made the rounds among the European elites. They believed that the sea, its air and water were extremely beneficial for their health, so all across Europe various small beach hotels popped up, catering to this new need of beach tourism, which did not really exist before. During the day, the rich and influential would bathe and partake in other health activities, but at night, of course, they wanted to be entertained. And so a new industry came to be, the beach resort, which was close to the water and with fine dining and entertainment at night, like the Cool House. In the late 1920s, however, this resort declined in popularity. The Great Depression hit many of the wealthy as well, and they became rather conservative in their spending. Beach resorts had lost their popularity, and so did the Cool House, finding its business declining. Until one day, two men by the names of Daniel Strauss and Jules Perel came to pitch their idea. Like in many European countries, the Netherlands had forbidden gambling, forcing it into the clandestine bars and locales of illegality. Strauss and Perel had come up with a new game, however. They attached a spiral on top of a roulette board and fitted the board with an electric motor. The ball was inserted in the spiral, and while the ball rolled down, the player was allowed to place a bet on a number it would land on. The motor in the board kept it spinning at a constant speed, and so technically speaking, it was not gambling but a game of agility. They named the game after themselves, Strauss and Perel. It is believed but not confirmed that the wife of Strauss also helped and her name was Lohman, hence the name Estraperlo. Strauss and Perel were quite the characters themselves. Their existence is shrouded in mystery, but it is known that they were cunning businessmen, meddling in magazine and printing and even the export of exotic animals. The Cool House went along with the idea and decided to put a few tables up. In June 1933, they opened their doors and the game became an instant success. Money was flowing in bulk, and soon the Cool House started running out of rooms to put the Estraperlo tables in. Staff had to be hired all the way from Belgium to fulfill the needs of the customers. It became such a moneymaker that at one point it was suggested to even turn the director's office into a game room and set up tables there, but that went a tad bit too far to his liking. Later in the same year, 1933, the conservative and Calvinist government of the Netherlands decided that it was not an innocent game of agility, like you would find at fun fairs, but rather old-fashioned gambling. So they banned the game, leaving Strauss and Perel without their cash cow. So the situation, amidst an extremely turbulent climate in Europe, both politically and economically unstable, they had to look for a new market for their game. A country where gambling was forbidden, but where people could use a bit of entertainment. And then it clicked, Spain. Spain had just come out of the fascist-inspired dictatorship of Primo de Rivera, who was an admirer of Benito Mussolini just like Adolf Hitler was. Primo de Rivera had committed a coup in 1923 and was in power until 1930. The country had just formed the Second Spanish Republic, and both extreme left and far right were struggling for power. In 1934, Perel and Strauss arrived in Barcelona. The two extravagant men went and booked an entire floor in the majestic Hotel Colón on Catalonia Square. The hotel was located in this historic building, which has now of course been changed into an Apple store. The man booked an entire floor in the hotel and threw endless parties. Everyone was welcome, the door was always open for a drink and a cigar. Their business strategy was simple: get to know all the important people and bribe them. They went to work, attended every important event and party in the city, and even went so far as to host the city's largest boxing gala ever. In Barcelona's Olympic Stadium, they got two of the time's most popular boxers to perform in front of a crowd of tens of thousands. The best seats were of course reserved for all the government officials, journalists and other members of the elite. And so, after a bit of money here, a party there, and the largest boxing gala of the country, they finally met with Rafael Salazar Alonso, Spain's interior minister, the endgame of their business strategy. They gave him 100,000 pesetas and a gold watch. After being out of business for almost a year, in September 1934 they were back in the Gran Casino of San Sebastian. Completely in style, Spain's Estraperlo game was opened with a grand party in the casino. At 5 in the afternoon the doors opened and immediately every table was full. Just like in the Kurhaus, their cash cow was running at its fullest again, until 11 that same evening, when the police raided the casino and impounded all the tables. Game over. It seemed like Salazar, the interior minister who had already received 100,000 pesetas and a gold watch, was not satisfied. He wanted more if the businessmen ever wanted to get their business back. Defeated, they returned to the Netherlands. Even though in Spain they were done for Strauss the game had just started. Although their business practices were morally doubtful, the men were smart enough to document everything, even the fact that the nephew of Prime Minister Leroux was in on the scandal and also took bribes. And so Strauss tried to blackmail Leroux, Spain's Prime Minister. He did not want to get involved in his nephew's shenanigans, however, and stated he had nothing to do with it. In his defense, there is indeed no evidence Leroux himself was involved in the bribery. So Strauss went straight to President Zamora to get back at the Interior Minister Salazar. The scandal went public and ultimately cost the head of the Republican government, leading to new elections. The corrupt Republican politicians were deemed Estraperlistas, or those who meddled in the Estraperlo affair. The new elections were won by the Left Popular Front, supported by the Communists in 1936. Amidst all this turbulence, a general stood up across the Strait of Gibraltar. Francisco Franco was stationed in Morocco when the left took power. He raised an army and returned to the mainland, where he started the Spanish Civil War, a war costing the life to 500,000 people. And now, almost 90 years after the invention of Estraperlo and the Civil War, we only have the word for corrupt people to remind us of Estraperlo. Thank you for watching this video and hope to see you next time in history.